Okay, so this is a recording of Flask with MySQL. So what should I be building first?
ERD.
ERD. Okay, so I have my ERD here, and then we can build the ERD in Workbench, right? Okay, so from here, where do I go?
Models.
Okay. Okay, plus. And then?
You have a schema name. It's like under physical schemas. It's like the little MID.
Okay, so let's call this Flask SQL Flask. Let me spell Flask SQL lecture demo. Okay. All right. What should I do next?
A diagram.
A diagram. Okay. All right. And now?
There's a little table icon.
Okay. All right. So we can grab this, put it here. Okay. And what should I call this?
Users.
Users. Okay.
Your ID. Call it.
Okay. This ID. What else do I want to add?
Just add some data. So, you can add a column.
Huh?
Make it auto increment.
Wait, auto increment. Good. What else?
Column name. Something.
So what do I want to call this?
You can call first name.
First name. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. And then are these data types correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. With an integer for the ID and then a varchar for string for the first name. Okay. All right. And that's it. All right. My ERD is done. Quite simple. Okay. I can now what I do?
File.
Export. Okay. File export. So I'm going to see if my Forward Engineer works. That hasn't been working for a lot of you. So Forward Engineer actually works for me. So it sounds like it has not worked for most of you guys. But, so I can continue. Continue. Error connecting the database. Can't connect to MySQL server. All right, what's the problem?
We don't have our server open.
Huh?
We don't have our server open.
We didn't what?
You can connect on MAMP.
Didn't connect on MAMP. Yeah, okay. All right, so turn on MAMP. Start the server. Close this page. That's annoyingly pops up. Okay. And now continue. And I give this script, right? If it doesn't work, you copy it, but mine does, so I just hit continue. Okay. All right, now what I do?
Go back to your home.
Yep.
Left.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the connection and click on your connection.
Yep. Okay.
Now you can open your script file from here.
Okay, so
Unless you copy paste it.
I already ran the Forward Engineering, so I actually don't need to paste my script file.
You can just do like control command shift open.
Command Shift open for.
Refresh the schemas.
Okay, so because my Forward Engineering works, which I guess you guys don't have experience with, my database is already here, right here, Flask SQL lecture demo. Okay, so I can actually just double click this. Okay, and that's already my table. Okay, so if I do this, right, this disclosure box, I can open this table section, right, and then there's this users table. There's actually this little icon here with a lightning bolt, and if I run it, it will actually run this query. Flask SQL lecture demo dot users, right? If I don't actually. So if you have not specified which specific database you're using, right? Like I double click this, okay? So because I double click this, I actually don't need that to specify the name of the database. I should be able to just run like this, okay? But if I would say double click on this one, okay, so that this is my schema that I'm like currently on, okay? Then if I want to get the users table from this other database, then I need to specify the name of the database, then the dot, then the name of the table. Okay, but if you double click it, then you don't need it. Okay, so
Make the text a little bigger.
I cannot make that bigger.
Just zoom in with your pinch and pull on your computer.
What? No, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, we got it to work yesterday.
Okay, I don't think I can. Sorry. All right. Well, yeah. Anyways, if I double click this here, I'll just try to read out what I'm doing. Okay, if I double click it, right, then I don't need to have this Flask SQL lecture demo part, and I can just select start from users and then run that. Okay, so this is my database. I can't get the bigger View? No. Nope. Don't think so. Okay. All right. All right. What next? So I have my database. Okay. What should I do now?
Add some data.
Add some data. Okay. So how would I add some data?
You can use the URI at the bottom. Just click on the first name, null space.
Yeah. Okay. So I can just do this. Okay. Which works. Okay. I would recommend that. Okay. So let's run this again. Right. Oh. What? Do I need to save it or something afterwards? What do I need to put it as a string?
It's hit apply in the box.
Apply. Okay, that's right. Okay, apply. All right. So if I apply it, and then it actually tells me what the query is going to be. It's a little bit of a cheating way to do it, but okay. You guys should actually learn how to do the queries without reading what it's saying. But you can apply it, okay, and then I close it, and then now it's there. Okay. It is important to have the actual query name. Like you can add data just by doing this, but you're eventually going to need this query, right, when you're working with Flask with MySQL. So I would recommend that you add your data using the query, a SQL query, okay, so that you can, and then you can save a syntax so that you can, once you know how that syntax works, you can then move it to your Flask with MySQL, so, and actually just copy paste it inside, okay. So I'm going to hold on to this syntax. I'm going to comment it out, double dash, okay, and I can just run this through. Okay, so I have my first user. Let's add a second one. So if I want to confirm this also works, then I can comment out this part, and let's add something else. So let's add Eric. Is it that? So like that? Yeah. Okay. All right. So if we run this again, then if I were to, for instance, comment this out, run this line again, I should see both of us. Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. So I've created this. Now what do I do?
Set up your MySQL connection Python.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now we actually go to making our Flask application. Okay. So at this point, I have a select star statement, right, for grabbing all of my data, and I also have a creating statement, okay, for creating data, which we're actually not going to demo today. But if you were doing this post request portion of the form, right, then you would need that piece of data, that query as well. Okay. So we will just go with this, okay, and we will start our Flask application. So now I can go and make this. I can make later. Okay. So, oops. All right. So I did that. All right. Go to Python. Oops. And then, did I go to Python? Oh, I did C twice. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to go to Flask MySQL, and then I'm going to make a directory lecture demo. Okay. And then you would want to turn on your virtual environment for Flask. Okay. And then we can make our Flask application. So what do we do now? What should I be making?
Make a new Python file.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna make a
MySQL.
ld underscore server dot py. Okay. All right. So I have this file. Okay. And then I'm going to just save this, and then I will also make a directory for templates. Okay, and then I'll go into the templates file directory, and then I will make a index.html. Okay, so I'm going to save that as well, and then I'm going to go up a layer, and then I'm going to open subble dot. Okay, so now I have a thing of just that. Okay. All right, so I would just with this, I would just get my Flask up and running first. Okay. Subble is a shortcut command for opening in Sublime, but you have to set up the path for it. Otherwise, you can just open it with your whatever text editor you're used to. Okay. So how do I get this running? I'm going to, hold on, I'm going to take this guy to, this guy to here. Okay. Okay, so I've made my file structure right. I have my project name, I have my server.py, I have my templates, and my index side stream. Okay. All right, so I'm going to copy this stuff, right? This is how we make our Flask application, right? We need this kind of code. Okay, so I'm going to go back to here, which is the server.py. Okay, I'm going to paste this in here, and then how do I get something to show up on my HTML?
Import your template on the top.
Okay, so I'm going to import render template, right? Okay, and then what else do I need to do?
Return render template index.
Yes. Okay, so return render underscore template index.html. Okay. All right, and then let's add something here. Okay, so this should basically just get our Flask application up and running, right? No SQL yet, but at least we have a Flask application up and running. Okay, so now I can do Python ld server.py. Okay, I can go to my local host of 5,000. Or yeah, there you go. All right, so up and running. Right, I have a Flask application. So I have Flask, I have MySQL, but they're not connected. Hello. Hello, Alpha. Okay, let's see. So now we need to connect the two. Okay, so if you go to this DB connection tab, okay, you will see this code. Okay, so this code is this connection file. Okay, so I'll walk through what this does a little bit later. You don't need to completely understand all the code in here, but I will walk through it a little bit later. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this code. Okay, and I'm going to make a what's it called? MySQL connection.py. MySQL connection.py. Okay, so I'm going to save this as out of my templates folder here. MySQL connection dot connection.py. That's spell it right? CONNECTION. Okay, yeah. So I'll save that. Okay. And then after I have that, I can change the port. So 3306 is the port on. What is the port? Port is 8889. Okay, so I need to make this 8889. Okay. All right. So this is how I'm going to connect to that MOMP MySQL database. Okay. From here, I can then also run. Okay, so I've also written this portion out for you guys. Okay, so you'll notice the section directly after Flask is this create the SQL layer part, and I explain why it makes sense to basically make the SQL layer first. Okay, and you're going to build out your EID, you're going to connect to your database. You can add seed data, which is basically just creating some data in the MySQL workbench for you first, right? So you have some data already to work with to display, and then you can have there's some SQL statements, okay, and then you create this server.py. Okay, so we have these routes already, okay. We have this part for importing, okay, and then you also need this command. Okay, so this is saying basically that you are using the connection from here. Okay, so I'm going to put this. I'll put this here. Okay, and then hold on. This goes here. Okay. You need to add this thing as well. Actually, you need all of this. So this is basically making a connection, and again, I'll walk through it in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to be connecting to a specific database, which is going to be called, what do I call this? Flask underscore SQL underscore lecture underscore demo. Flask underscore SQL underscore lecture underscore demo. Okay. And then once I have that connection, I can do a query. So I'm going to set up a query. So start from print query, and then I also need to run my query, which is going to be so I'm going to so I think this should work. All right, so let's try this. Go back to here. Go to here. Refresh my page. Site cannot be reached. I have a bug somewhere. Unindent does not match in the outer indentation level. I probably have this basis problem. So this needs to be tab. Okay, all right. Let's try that. Okay. All right, so I have hello, but if I if I look at my console log, I printed the users. Okay, so this means that I actually have that query data. Okay, so I'll walk through what I just did now. Okay, in terms of like the actual code, but I'm printing the results of my query from my SQL database. Right, I have these two users. This is arranged in an array of dictionaries. Right, array. This is a dictionary, and then these are the keys. Key. Result, key value, right? Key value, key value. Okay. All right. So let's look at what I actually just did. So when you are working with MySQL, you are going to need to import this MySQL connection file. Okay, that's what this one does. Okay, so from MySQL connection, which is the name of the file. Okay, I'm going to import MySQL connector. Okay, so MySQL connector is this guy actually. On here. Okay, so I'm importing this guy. Okay, so that's what that line means. You need to set a secret key. Okay, so same with sessions as with the database, you're going to need a secret key in place. Okay, otherwise Flask will complain. Now I am running this. Okay, so I'm running the MySQL connector. I'm calling the method, and I'm passing in these two parameters. Okay, so two parameters I'm passing in are the app, which is this Flask application that I'm running, okay, and also this string right here, okay. I'm then saving the results of that to MySQL, a variable called MySQL. Okay, so we go from basically from here, MySQL connector, we jump to this second portion, okay, and here you have app and database, right? So the Flask app got mapped to this variable parameter app, okay. And the string of the name of my database got mapped to this database thing. Okay, and this is pretty simple. It's really short. It just says return MySQL connection. Okay, so this is going to return the result, the return value of this method now, MySQL connection. Okay, so we're going to call this MySQL connection. Okay, we're going to pass in the app and the database again. Okay, and that gets passed into here. Okay, so MySQL connection is actually a class, so you guys have learned OOP now, right? So we are creating a class, okay, and we are creating an object. So we're actually creating an object of MySQL connection. Okay. From here, because we're initializing it actually with app and DB, those get passed into these two parts, right? Self is just that default that's passed for creating an object, right, in the initializer. Okay, so this app and DB gets passed in. You have the configuration, so these are basically the settings of how you're going to connect the database, right? You had to provide these when you were connecting through MySQL Workbench, right? Though some of them are kind of defaulted, right? You have roots, you have your password root, which is the default password, and you set the specific port that you want to connect to MAMP, where MAMP is running from MySQL Workbench, right? And so we're doing the same thing here, okay? The database that we're connecting, specific database, we're just passing in as DB. So this parameter that I originally wrote over here, right, right? This is getting passed in all the way as one of the parameters of the database. Okay, so that's the specific database we're going to be connecting to on MySQL. Okay, there's some code here basically for setting up that configuration. Okay, and then from there we have basically set up our connection object once this finishes running. Okay, and then we also have this separate method called queryDB. Okay, so this is the main method we're going to be using when we actually want to pass in SQL commands from our Flask application to MySQL. Okay, so you'll notice that over here, I'm using this method, right? MySQL is the name of my object, right? Because I've instantiated a new MySQL connection object. Okay, so this MySQL is this MySQL connector object, and then we are calling the method on it called queryDB. Okay, so we are calling this method. Okay, we are passing in this query as a parameter. Well, what is this query? The query is just my select star from users. Okay, that's my query statement. Okay, so you could also call this query statement. It makes it clearer for you. Okay, so this gets passed in, which gets passed into here, right, as the query. Okay, you could actually pass in a separate parameter called the data, which is if you want to, let's say you wanted to pass in select star from users where user ID equals 1. Okay, this would be how you would set your conditionals as that data, where that you would pass in that value of 1, so it knows to find that specific user ID. Okay, but we're not using that right now because we're just grabbing all the users, so we don't. This part is just set to none. Okay, it will then run this query by executing the query statement, and it's going to return a result. Okay, and then you will eventually return that result in a specific format, and that format. That result is then stored into my query result variable. Okay. And so I then print my query result variable, which is this guy. Okay. So I've completed that full path basically. Okay, of querying to my database, and now I have my data. Okay. So if you wanted to create data, right, you would just change your query to just like an insert into or something like that, but you would still have the same general idea, right? You create a query statement that is like insert into, and then you run that query, and then you store the result of that query if you care about the result, right? Insert into, if you didn't care about the result, like you didn't care about grabbing whatever is returned from that, it would still happen. But if you wanted to, see the new data that you inserted, then you could save it to something. Yeah, so save it to some variable, basically. Okay.
One more time, where did you get the MySQL from? Is that when you named the server, or when you named
So MySQL comes from here. Okay, so it's the variable for MySQL connector app Flask SQL demo, right? So this connects to this side, which is returning this, and this is the MySQL connector connection object. Okay, yeah, which is the instantiated object of that class. Okay. You guys see how everything's sort of tying together now, right? We tied Flask, we tied SQL, we tied some OOP classes. Okay. All the routing as well. Okay, so all right, so now that we have this query result, right? It's great that it's showing up in terminal, but you probably want to be able to display it on your actual web page. Okay, so the way you can do that is you can modify your index.html, and you need to pass this query result into your view, basically. Okay, so we could say something like all users equals my query result. Okay, or you may consider just calling this one like users. Okay, and then putting users here as well. That part's just up to you, right? It's just variable naming. Okay, so we pass this in. Now, if I want this to show up here, I can just do here all users. Okay, so again, this right side, right, is the name of the data, the values that we're passing in from the variables. This left side is how we're going to reference it in Jinja on the index.html. Okay, so we have all users here. We then reload the page, and it all shows up here.
Can you make that bigger?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's see. One step bigger. Actually, I can't make it bigger. I can't make it bigger. I actually cannot. Okay. So no, I cannot. All right. So from here, right, you have your data. You have it displaying a web page. Now it's just like you probably want to format it in like a better format for presenting to users, right? So I have all the users. How would I, for instance, just display the name of all the users?
Let's say list of dictionaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if our print for loop to go
Yep.
to all the users.
Okay, so we need a for loop. And what do we want to put in the for loop?
Or you can just do for like I in all users.
Yeah. Okay. I'll add the end statement for you guys. Okay. And then what would I put in here?
So I is the key name right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be
What do we want to think?
We want to print the names of all the users, right? Just the two names, like basically my name and Eric's name, rather than this, this format.
So print users at I.
Okay, so if we were putting the terminal, it would be something like that, right? If we had the entire dictionary, but we are already in a for loop now, right? And we already have an I. From what? Right,
I is
first.
the key name. So I is these are the columns. I is
Okay, well, so let's just try printing I first. Okay. Okay, so there's I. This is I. This is one I, and this is the second I. Okay, so what are we going to put here? Key name? Okay, so we got I dot first name. Okay, so there it is. Shane and Eric. Okay, so I think you can do I dot first name. I'm not sure if you can do it this way too. You might be able to do it this way too. Yeah, same thing. Okay. Okay. So we have the first names, and if I want to name, I want to do lazy CSS. There we go. Okay, lazy CSS. Okay. All right. Lazy CSS is okay for your Django exam if you want to do it. Okay. We're not going to grade you on any of your CSS.
Not yet, I guess, it sounds like.
I guess we won't ever really grade it again. Like, it was just for web fun, really. I mean, you should make it look nice for like your projects and stuff, but for your exams, it's really just focused on this portion. Okay. We trust you already know how to make it look nice with CSS. All right, any questions? Okay, this is full Flask and SQL application. Okay, so with this, you can basically build, and also your CSS knowledge, right? You can basically build most websites actually, right? The functionality of most websites. I mean, this plus, I guess, still the post request portion for like posting data and stuff. You can build out most websites.
So how does Django come in?
So Django comes in as a different way of organizing this information. So right now we have almost all our information inside this server.py file, right? And this would become very unwieldy after a while. Okay, so Django is a way of organizing your code better and more efficiently and easier for you to work with other people because they know where stuff goes. So you don't have spaghetti code. Pause the